There is a law in nature: what is grasped too tightly breaks. Hold a butterfly in your palm, it will stay. Close your fist, and it flees. So too is the heart of a man. If he senses that your peace depends on his presence, he will feel a quiet alarm ringing deep within his nervous system. This is not about cruelty. This is instinct. Just like you would retreat from a fire that burns too close. Why? Because no one wants to become another's oxygen. No soul wants to carry the weight of your happiness. It's not love, it's pressure, and pressure pushes love away. There is a hidden law in the way hearts respond to energy, one that cannot be bent by will or forced by desire. When the mind senses pressure, when it feels the grasping of another soul seeking to hold it too tightly, it does not feel love. Feels resistance, it pulls away, not because love has vanished, because the space where love could have grown has become overcrowded with need. Imagine a bird resting upon your open palm. It stays, gently breathing, sensing the stillness in you. Now, imagine the moment you try to enclose your fingers around it, not with violence, but with longing, to keep it near, to ensure it does not leave. In that instant, the bird no longer trusts the peace it once felt. It flies, not because it does not care, but because its nature will always choose freedom over possession. In the same way, when you place emotional pressure upon another, when you need them to behave a certain way to feel secure, you trigger a primal instinct, not just in men, but in all people. The mind retreats from anything that smells of captivity. Even if the words are soft, the energy behind them can carry the scent of desperation. And desperation, though born from the desire to connect, pushes connection away. A young monk once asked his master, "Why do the people I love most walk away?" The master replied, "Because you are chasing them with fire in your hands. Love is not fire. It is water. You must become the stream, not the torch." In daily life, this becomes visible in the smallest of moments. A message sent too quickly. A repeated question. "Do you still care?" A lingering gaze filled not with wonder, but with worry. These are the petals of attachment, not the blossoms of love. And the one on the receiving end senses it, even if he cannot name it. Consider the river. It never runs after the fish. All life finds its way to it. It does not ask, "Will you stay?" It simply flows, offering its coolness, its clarity, its direction. And in that still, ungrasping presence, it becomes a source. There is an old saying by Zhuangzi, the Taoist sage, "Flow with whatever may happen and let your mind be free." Stay centered by accepting whatever you are doing. This is the ultimate. Freedom is not only a longing in the one being chased. It is also a lesson for the one who chases. When you release others from the task of filling your emptiness, you begin to dissolve the very energy that repels them. You no longer ask them to complete the puzzle of your self-worth. You become the whole. Let your love be like a lantern in the dark, not chasing the lost, but lighting the way. When you learn this stillness, this detachment, not as coldness, but as sacred space, you stop triggering the retreat in others. You become the presence that they lean into, not flee from. We move now, naturally, to a truth that is often misunderstood. Attachment is not love. They dress in similar robes. They may even speak in similar voices. But where love liberates, attachment clings. Where love gives without fear, attachment gives with invisible chains. And those chains, though often made of silk, can strangle. Attachment is the cry of the ego that says, "I need you to be who I imagine you to be." It is a mirror held up, not to see the other, but to see oneself reflected back in comfort. Love, however, does not seek its reflection. It sees, it honors, it allows. A parable from the old mountain temple tells of a monk who carried a cracked bowl. Every day he would fetch water from the river, and by the time he reached the temple, most of the water had spilled. Another monk laughed and said, "Why do you use that broken bowl? Cannot even serve its purpose." The old monk smiled. "It is not for the water I carry it, but for what it teaches me along the path. The flowers on the roadside grow only because this bowl leaks. Attachment wants a perfect bowl, flawless and full. Love understands the beauty in imperfection, in allowing life to flow as it must. When you are attached, you fear loss. You fear change. You fear that without the other, you are less. But when you love, you are simply present, even if the other chooses a different path. In personal development, this becomes a sacred pivot. Many begin the journey of self-discovery hoping to become better, to become someone finally worthy of love. But that, too, is a kind of attachment. The idea that one must be more to deserve what is already available in stillness. It is when you stop striving to be enough for someone else that you begin to uncover your natural sufficiency. And from that place, love becomes effortless. Not because it lacks effort, but because it is no longer rooted in fear. Nature teaches this quietly. The moon does not compete with the sun. It simply glows in its own rhythm. The tree does not stretch its limbs in envy of the clouds, grows upward silently to meet its own design. In the same way, the heart unburdened by attachment learns to love without demand. Philosopher Gibran wrote, "Wife, let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of the heavens dance between you. Love one another, but make not a bond of love, let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. Say in this sea there is no possession, no proving, no pleasing, just being, and the one who is meant to swim beside you will do so not because you beg them, because your still waters call to their soul. So walk the quiet path. Let your breath be your anchor. Let your mind be your temple. Let love arise not from need but from fullness. In this, you will see the difference between a soul-chasing completion and a soul-offering presence. He will not chase you if you trigger his retreat, nor will he stay if he feels imprisoned. But if you become the stillness within yourself, if you release the grip of attachment and learn to love as the river flows and the wind dances, you will find that the one meant to walk with you will arrive not because you called, but because your silence welcomed him home. There is a truth as old as the mountains and as gentle as falling snow. When you begin to chase, you disturb the sacred balance between give and receive. In the natural world, harmony is not created through pursuit but through presence. Rain that does not chase the earth, yet the ground drinks it deeply. The sun does not run after the flowers, yet they open in worship each morning. In human connection, the same principle quietly governs. When your energy becomes one of chasing, of pursuing love, approval, or attention, you send forth a signal, not with words, with your essence. That signal whispers, "I am incomplete without you." And the moment you declare your incompleteness through action, you tilt the balance. What could have been mutual now becomes uneven. What was once curiosity turns into withdrawal, for one cannot chase and remain centered at the same time. In an ancient monastery nestled deep in the pine-covered hills, a disciple asked the master, "How do I win the heart of another?" The master took 2 clay bowls. One he placed upright and still. The other he moved swiftly around the first, circling, eager. Then he poured water from a kettle above. The still bowl filled. "The moving bowl caught only drops," he said. "The one who is still receives. The one who chases spills all." There is no need to run, no need to persuade or prove, because what is real does not need to be caught. It arrives. When you pursue someone from a place of need, your energy ceases to be a gift and becomes a request, and no one, not even one who cares, can carry the weight of becoming your source. In daily life, this can be seen in the subtle moments, a second message sent after no reply, a voice that rises in tone, hoping to be heard, or a heart that leans in too soon, too far. It's not wrong. It's deeply human. But it creates distance rather than closeness. In the garden of connection, silence and space are just as necessary as words and touch. Imagine the dance of two birds in the sky. Their harmony lies in their independence. If one tries too hard to close the space between them, their rhythm falters, their wings clash. When both honor the space, they move together, separate yet united. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once wrote If you wish to be loved, love modestly, for violent seas do not nourish the land, they flood it. So many seek to be desired, not realizing that desire blooms best in the presence of calm. You do not need to perform your worth. You need only to return to your center. From there, the right ones see you, not because you waved your arms in desperation, because your rootedness called them like a mountain calls the clouds. Now, as the breath settles and the mind becomes still, we are ready to see the mirror held up by the next truth stillness attracts. In a world that spins fast, that teaches urgency and reaction, there is something profoundly magnetic about someone who is unmoved. Not emotionally numb, but emotionally sovereign. Their joy is not easily shaken. Their peace is not negotiated. Their silence is not empty, but alive. This is the kind of presence that pulls others in without trying. The Shaolin elders used to speak of a monk who spent his days in the courtyard, sweeping leaves. He spoke little. He laughed when others were angry and sat calmly when others rushed about. One day a visitor to the temple asked, "Why does everyone seem drawn to him?" The head monk replied, "Because his spirit does not reach out to take. It rests where it is. Others feel safe there." Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the fullness of presence. When you are still within, others feel it. They feel that you are not trying to impress or manipulate. You are not acting from fear or performance. You are simply a being, and that being is powerful because it grants them permission to be. 2. Think of nature once more. The lotus does not leap toward the sun, simply opens. The moon does not beg for the tides. It waits and the oceans rise. In this way, when you embody inner stillness, you become like the elements, respected, magnetic, enduring. Even in personal development, this truth reveals itself. Many search tirelessly for strategies to become more attractive, words to say, gestures to perform. Yet the most attractive quality of all is peace. A woman or man who is not rattled by silence, not shaken by uncertainty, not made hollow by solitude. This person glows with something deeper than beauty. They glow with presence, and presence cannot be faked. It is cultivated. Through breath, through discipline, through surrender, through learning to sit with one's own longing without letting it control the action, through choosing to respond, not react, to observe, not grasp, to wait, not beg. There is a lesser-known quote from the Bhagavad Gita: "He who is satisfied with the self, who is content in the self, who rejoices in the self alone, he is truly still." But this stillness does not mean you feel nothing. It means you are not ruled by your feelings. You may love deeply, long sincerely, hope tenderly, but you do not lose yourself in these emotions. Instead, you watch them arise like mist from the valley, and you remain the mountain beneath. In the presence of such inner equilibrium, others feel a sense of return. They sense home, not in the walls of a house, but in the stillness of your being. You do not pull them in. You invite. You do not beg for love. You allow it to reveal itself. This is why stillness is not just attractive. It is transformative. It holds a mirror up to those around you, reminding them of what they are capable of becoming. When you stand in your own wholeness, you remind others of their own. And this is the highest form of intimacy, not dependence, but resonance. And so the journey from chasing to stillness becomes a path of mastery, of returning again and again to breath, of choosing quiet over urgency, over fear, presence over pursuit. To move forward is not always to advance. Sometimes the deepest progress is found in stopping, in resting in your own essence. Like the mountain unmoved by storms, like the tree that grows not through reaching, but by deepening its roots. What you seek may already be circling you. What you long for may already be near, but it cannot draw close until your energy becomes still, until your heart no longer chases, but radiates. And so we arrive here, not with conclusion, but with quiet recognition. Let your being speak more than your actions. Let your stillness call forth what belongs. Let your soul become a resting place, not a marketplace. And in doing so, become not the seeker of love, but the source. For the one who masters their own presence never needs to pursue. They simply are, and that is enough. In the hidden chambers of the mind, there are quiet alarms, bells that ring not with sound, but with sensation. When someone senses that they are being made responsible for another's emotional survival, a subtle fear is awakened. It may not speak in words, but it stirs deeply, urging one to take a step back. Not because they do not care, but because their nervous system, their very soul, whispers, this is not freedom. When you send the signal, I need you to be okay, you may believe it comes from love. Yet underneath, often unnoticed, lies an attachment that is less about the other and more about your own safety. When a man feels that his presence is the only thing holding you together, a boundary inside him tightens. You have triggered avoidance, not intentionally but energetically. A Shaolin master once told a tale of two bridges. One was made of bamboo, light and swaying, flexible and enduring. The other was made of stone, heavy and imposing, built to last but unable to bend. When a storm came, the stone bridge cracked, unable to yield. The bamboo bridge, though trembling in the wind, held fast. Which one do you think people trusted more after the storm? The master asked. The disciple answered, the one that knew how to bend. This is the lesson when your love becomes rigid. When it says, I need you to love me back in this exact way or I will break. It is no longer safe for others to walk across it. They begin to pull away, not because they don't value you, but because your love has become inflexible, filled with unspoken requirements. In daily life, this shows up in the spaces between words. The sigh when he doesn't respond the way you hoped. The hidden resentment when plans change. The emotional withdrawal when your needs aren't instantly met. These responses, while human, send signals. And those signals can quietly trigger a man's avoidant nature. Not as a choice, but as a reflex. It is not uncommon. Many people carry the echo of past pain. Times when they were not enough, when they were left, when they were unseen. These echoes become ghosts, and the ghosts demand, death, make me feel whole again. But this is not love's work. This is the work of self. No man or woman, no matter how kind or committed, can carry the burden of healing what only you can soothe. Nature shows us the wisdom of wholeness in solitude. The lone tree growing on a cliff does not beg the forest for shelter. It finds its roots in rock, its strength in wind. It still reaches for the sun, but it does not depend on another tree to survive. This kind of self-reliance is not isolation. It is the soil from which healthy connection grows. The Buddhist master Atisha once said, the greatest attachment is not to things or people, to the illusion that something outside of you can complete you. To recognize this is a form of liberation. It is the quiet awakening that says, perhaps it is not that he is unavailable, that I have made him responsible for what is mine to hold. Thus, when you release others from that responsibility, their nervous system relaxes. Their instinct to flee softens. Because now your love does not come with conditions or invisible shackles. It comes with space, and space is sacred. The breath flows best in space. The body moves best with space. The soul expands only when it is given room to grow. The same is true of relationships. The moment you try to hold too tightly, you choke the roots. The moment you let go with love, everything begins to breathe again. Now the path opens slowly and gently to the final truth. Inner wholeness is irresistible. There is no fragrance more magnetic than a soul at peace. No outward beauty, no clever word, no perfect gesture can equal the quiet glow of someone who no longer seeks permission to be whole. When you no longer need someone to stay, simply desire to walk alongside them. This is love from overflow, not emptiness. And the energy of overflow is irresistible, nourishes rather than drains. It invites rather than insists. It stands tall rather than leans. There is a story from the Taoist tradition about a sage who lived beside a river. People from nearby villages would come seeking his wisdom, yet he never traveled, never called anyone to him. One disciple asked, "Why do they come to you, master, when you never go to them?" The sage dipped his hand into the water and said, "Because the river flows calmly and all things thirst. When you are whole within yourself, you become like that river. People feel it. They sense they are not being pulled toward you out of need, but welcomed by your presence." And that kind of invitation is powerful. It does not manipulate. It does not chase. It simply is. In the quietness of real life, you can observe this truth. Think of those individuals who carry a grounded presence. They are not the loudest in the room. They do not dominate attention. Something about them feels safe, whole. Their eyes are not searching. Their energy is not reaching. You feel you can rest beside them. To become this person does not mean you no longer feel pain. It means your pain no longer governs your actions. It means you have befriended your solitude. You have made peace with the waves inside your own chest. And from that peace, you offer love, not as a cry for rescue, but as a song freely sung. In the realm of personal growth, this is the hidden doorway. The work is not to perfect your outer self so that others choose you. The work is to soften the walls within, to hold your own heart gently, to become the one you've been searching for. Then, whoever comes into your life is a companion, not a savior. The philosopher Plotinus wrote, "Withdraw into yourself and look, and if you do not find yourself beautiful yet, act as does the creator of a statue that is to be made beautiful." He cuts away here, he smooths there until a lovely face has grown into view. Wholeness is not an achievement. It is a remembrance. Remembering that you were never broken, only distracted. That your worth is not dependent on who stays or who leaves, but on the still flame that has always burned quietly within you. When you touch that inner flame, you radiate. Not in performance, but in truth. And this radiance draws in not only others, but the life you were meant to live. He may never chase you if you trigger fear or dependency, but he will gravitate, slowly, steadily, toward the peace you carry. For the soul longs for rest, and nothing is more restful than a heart that does not demand to be filled. This is not the easy path, but it is the enduring one, the mountain path, the silent temple, the inward gaze that no longer seeks mirrors in others, but sees clearly within. And when you arrive there, truly arrive, not only will you stop chasing, you will find that everything worthy begins to find you. He will never chase what feels like captivity, but he will return again and again to what feels like freedom. And freedom is not loud, does not beg or chase or prove. It simply is. So stop trying to be chosen. Choose yourself. Grow your own garden. Become so rooted in self-awareness that love becomes an offering, not a request. Because when you master this, you will find that not only do others return, but more importantly, you return to yourself. And that, dear soul, is where the true journey begins.